Dan Illman, Mike Beer kicking off a 50-cent late pick four at Saratoga on Whitney Saturday with grade one action. It's the test, the signature race for three-year-old filly dirt sprinters in North America. $500,000 is the purse. Let's take a look at this field. This race will all be about the number one Matareya, 2-5 on our colleague and friend David Aragona's morning line. Matareya has won four in a row. She just seems to be getting better and better with each start.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that slate we have up there right now, Dan, in the morning line price on Matareya sort of says it all. The test is usually just that. When they card this race at Saratoga, it's usually a pretty big test. It doesn't feel like this race really is. Matareya is pretty much a standout in this field.
Let's take a look at the Timeform US Pace Projector. One of the wonderful assets that Matareya possesses is her tactical speed. She has gone gate to wire in her races. She has sat just off the lead. She has even come from mid-pack to win. In the test, Timeform US is projecting her to be just off of a pretty fast horse, Hot Peppers. And I would think Flavien Prat's plan here is break, maybe let Hot Peppers clear, and if she's quick enough to get to the outside of that one, sit second in that position.
Yeah, that seems about right. I mean, if nothing else, his plan has to be to leave the gate and try to make the lead. If you don't get there for some reason, if Hot Peppers, who is a pretty quick horse, if she comes out of there running and clears you from the outside, Matareya has shown in the past that that's not a big deal to her. She's a very handy horse, and she will sit off of a rival if she has to, but he's got to come out of there running from the rail.
Let's begin our analysis with the horse to beat Matareya, coming into this off three consecutive graded stakes victories, including this win, her first grade one in the Acorn. Now, the Acorn was notable because she wasn't going to be the favorite until about 1 minute to post time, when the big favorite, Echo Zulu, was scratched by the vet. That left Matareya the 3-10 chalk in an overmatched field, and she just made them pay in the manner of a morning workout.
Yeah, never had to take a deep breath here. Just sort of made her way right to the front, never faced a challenge. Wins as easy as she was supposed to win after that scratch. Boy, it's, almost hard to say it, Dan, but that Acorn might have been an even weaker field than this test is. She just really had never a straw in her path that day. And then you start looking at the races that she ran before that, and she's just been really good. She's in really good form. She shows up every time she can get any kind of trip in the race, and she's found a very weak field here. She's going to be very, very hard to beat.
She was very clean with her lead changes in the Acorn, probably because she hasn't been put to pressure in that race. She usually will pop back and forth in the stretch, but it hasn't bothered her yet thus far. Sterling Silver is the number two, a nice New York bred, trained by Tom Albertrani, won the Boulerie going 7 furlongs at Belmont 2 starts back. She ran third in the Victory Ride. It was a race where there was some pace. She came with the run. I don't know, Mike, I had hoped for something a little bit better, but she's an honest filly that would benefit from a quick pace up front.
Yeah, pretty nice New York bred. Took advantage of a pretty good setup going this distance two back in the Bowery. They sort of went in front of her there. She got a good trip and she closed it down pretty easily. Like you, I was a little disappointed in her Victory Ride. Not that I, thought that she was going to win that race, but that's another race where they sort of went in front of her. She had something to run at in there, and she never really made her presence felt that day. Just to me, pretty hard to make a case for with a 77 by her top.
If Matareya stubs her toe, you might want to consider the number 3 Elm Drive, who began her career like she could be any kind. Her debut was a sensational performance at Los Alamitos. She backed it up with a hard-fought win in the Sorrento, and then she went off form a little bit, and I like that they brought her back at these sprint distances. That's what she is. She won the Angel's Flight, perhaps being aided by a speed-friendly track off the layoff, and then she did this in the Great Lady M, where she was chasing the pace on the outside, and she just got a little bit tired late. Now, there is a concern that maybe she hasn't improved since her first 2 starts as a 2-year-old, but if you believe there is still some potential here, the ability is here.
Yeah, depending on price, I might look at her the latter way. I really did like the way she started her career. I thought each of her first two starts were really good. I realized that in the 2 races before the layoff, she didn't run well either time. But those margins of defeat are at least a little exaggerated, Dan. I mean, she was pretty much wrapped up at the top of the stretch in those races and just allowed to sort of cruise in. I liked her return from the layoff. She had a super soft trip in that Angel's Flight, though. They just went to the lead. No one challenged her. Didn't have to go fast. Won really easily. I wasn't as taken with her effort last time. I didn't care for the ride that she got in there. Her rider just showed no urgency at all after she hit the gate, sat on the outside, did not go after the leaders. And then she really couldn't make an impact through the stretch. I mean, I was a little disappointed, but when you look up that horse that won that race, Becca Taylor, man, is she a good horse? 9 for 10 lifetime, undefeated on dirt, a bunch of fast figures. So maybe that loss isn't so bad in retrospect.
The number 4, Wish You Well, is going to be tested by trainer George Weaver, and maybe she is up to the test. She won her debut going this 7/8 of a mile distance. That's a very demanding distance for a first-time starter. She was bet down to 8-5 in a big field like they knew she could run, and she showed good speed from the start. She caught a wet track in her second start. She didn't need to like that, and here she is in only her third lifetime start off a little bit of a layoff. It's a very confident move from a very sharp horseman.
Yeah, I agree with all that stuff. I mean, in this kind of race, especially, I mean, obviously she's got her work cut out for her with the favorite, but otherwise, why can't she be a horse that could make a little bit of noise in this race? They obviously think very highly of her. They paid a lot of money for her. She's been really well bet in both of her starts. She looked pretty good winning on debut, and she has the sort of built-in excuse the last time we saw her.
And of the 5 main track races at Gulfstream on April the 2nd, 4 of them were won by horses coming from well off of the pace. Wish You Well took them gate to wire. November Rein is the number 5, and November Rain's coming off a nice win for Kelly Breen. This is a first-level allowance at Belmont, going 6.5, and we watch November Rain in here, and she's a horse that likes to get involved in the early stages of her races. She got right up close to the pace, and she fought it out all the way to the wire. It was nice to see her finally get that fig. She got an 84 Buyer's speed figure, and it looks like she's coming into her own.
Yeah, it really does. I think you're going to get some speed out of her in this race, too. She was 2 for 2 up here as a 2-year-old, including a stakes win. She came off the layoff with a lot working against her in that Bowery. I mean, 7 furlongs off the layoff. She got involved on a contested pace there, and she got really tired, but she took a pretty nice step forward last time. I mean, she had to fight pretty hard to beat sort of a weak field that day, but she did improve her figure.
Trainer Rudy Rodriguez is due to go on a run any minute now at Saratoga, and the 6 Hot Peppers is one of his fastest horses. He's got some fast horses like Bella Sophia in the barn. Hot Peppers is very quick from the gate. Let's watch her win in the Grade 3 victory ride, going 6.5, where she just bounced out to the front, took pressure all the way around, and dug down deep to win. Now, the Buyer only came back as 74. It was one of those fast, early, slow, late races. Louis Size is going to send her. That's her best chance of winning. We'll see if she gets the 7 against a top-class filly like Matareya.
Yeah, that's pretty much how they've ridden her in most of her races. Save the poor performance going 7 furlongs at Tampa back in March, where they didn't try for the lead, and she was nowhere at the end. And all of her other races, they've just sent her off to the lead. She sticks around at the end. She's a real fighter. That race didn't come back fast last time, but she did all the hard work on the pace, put away the 2 favorites, and still held off the closers.
I'm a fan of the 7 Chi-Town Lady, but I have to admit, maybe she's beginning to lose me a little bit. I really liked her Bolton's Landing at Saratoga on the turf last year. It was a boggy course. She stumbled badly at the start, and she got a nice split turning into the stretch, and she was able to win. I thought she had a very difficult trip in the Myrtlewood on dirt in her final start as a 2-year-old. Again, just sandwiched leaving the break, in behind horses turning for home, and unfortunately, she's just yet to really break through with that performance this year at 2. At least it was a step in the right direction last time out at Churchill when she ran 2nd.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you just said. I was sort of on her for a while as a 2-year-old as well. And she did have a pretty big excuse in that Myrtlewood, just a race where you didn't want to be closing, and she was trying to come from way out of it. Boy, her 2 races so far this year have not been good, though. And I get that she made a little bit of a run last time, but I mean, talk about just having no speed at all. She almost lost contact with that field up the back. She was way out of it. She put in a little bit of run there, but was never a real factor. And obviously, she can't afford to do that in here, Dad. They're not going to go that fast in front of her.
To most, Matareya will be a single to kick off the late pick 4. Let's take a look at our top selection for this year's Grade 1 test. And Matareya is just simply the horse to beat. We both have her right on top.
It's just too hard for me to go against her, Dan. There are too many things pointing to her in this race. The competition just really isn't there. I happen to still be a big fan of Elm Drive. I'm very interested to see what she does first time for Michelle Nevin, but I'm not betting her in this race.
And I'm very interested to see what Wish You Well does. I hope that she runs well here and stays healthy, because she did show a lot of talent in that debut at Gulfstream. But if Matareya gets the trip, she's way the horse to beat in the test. Good luck.